The blast on a Friday night. At last, you may set the papers aside and enjoy a restful evening. After setting aside the documents, Leary switched off the computer and stretched. There was a challenging issue to resolve. Who should I spend the evening with? Go through the tried-and-true choices or go hunting? Am I done, Chief? Can I leave now, or... The youthful, gorgeous blonde, Christe, 25, purposefully left off the rest of her sentence in order to get Leary's response. Christe, turn home. Tonight, I'm heading straight home. It's been a difficult week. I need to get some sleep, he said with a gentle grin before getting up from the table. Leary Christie let out a sorrowful sigh and shut the door. She was simply one of the tried-and-true possibilities for a good time, but to be honest, there weren't many of those in the building that housed Leary's law office. Leary was a well-known lawyer, the Jacksonville law firm, who was remarkably well-liked by ladies of all ages. He was not extraordinarily attractive or physically strong, but he exuded an amazing Irish charm that worked like catnip on many of the women he subdued. Well, like catnip on anyone who considered herself to be a woman. Leary was not exactly sure what this particular catnip looked or smelled like, but he was prepared to trust in its power because females would fall at his feet in droves the moment he smiled and made eye contact. Hunt or free hunt, he ultimately concluded. As soon as he left the building, he hurried to a bar that was well known to everyone in Jacksonville. It wasn't sophisticated or sophisticated. Sure, there would be brawls and fights, but everyone who walked through this bar felt like they were part of an exciting new experience. After entering, Leary had a glance about. A young woman in her early 40s with large breasts was standing at the bar. She was clearly keeping an eye on her form, but the years were getting to her. Well, she's rather attractive. Regretfully, she is elderly, Leary mused. Though the woman was grinning, Leary could see that she was sad looking at a couple seated at a table close to the counter. A balding older man and a slender, attractive female made for a striking couple. Earl was discussing something with a lot of emotion. Leary heard the talk as they passed by and assumed the speaker to be a Frenchwoman. The man nodded his assent after listening intently. Bald man felt strange up close. This seemingly modest man exuded a strength and power aura. Leary shivered, picturing a halo around the bald man's head and wings behind his shoulders. I'll see, he said. He snorted. Some angel of death, and sat down behind a chair. Then he heard a riot of giggles. In the distant booth, a group of women were drinking beer and having a pleasant conversation. Our male directed his feet, along with the rest of his body, to this purported hotspot of sexual pleasure and humorous relaxation once he had emptied his glass. Girls, I see you're all having fun, but I know how to make the evening even more fun. Thank you, but we don't have drugs tonight. A stunning redhead with clear Irish ancestry declared. Oh, of all the drugs, I can only offer myself. Leary shot back, flashing the ladies his signature smile. Sighing, the commoner at the other end of the table began to faint. The females hurried over to assist her. She was used to Leary bringing her back to the table. Are you all right, my dear? Leary inquired directly into the recuperated girl's ear with his silky baritone voice. Frantically nodding her head, she apologized and made her way out of the bar. Go ahead, Leary said with a little giggle. So, with three of us at the table, what shall we do? Let's keep celebrating, the redhead beauty cried, turning to face her buddy. With a slight grimace, she lifted her drink. Intransigently, Beth, I'm gonna beat you anyway, she declared. Startled, Leary lifted an eyebrow and glanced at Beth. We're celebrating the end of the quarter, and my first place in insurance sales, she said with a giggle. This time, the leader Sarah Long is only in second position. It's because the town ran out of players, and we don't have any other teams. Sarah mumbled caustically, as though that would account for the lead being lost. All I have to do is sell $10,000 worth of insurance and I'll beat you. Will you finish it by midnight? Well, Beth snorted. Let's avoid getting into arguments. With a sneaky glance around the side like to a smuggler selling illicit whiskey during the Prohibition era, Leary murmured, I know much more fun things to do. And what are they? Sarah asked in a dubious and slightly inebriated manner. Let's go to the dance floor. The foursome dazzled on the dance floor for the next hour. Due to the limited area, the dancing resembled cuddling, with participants caressing, touching, and stroking each other's exposed body part. The Jacksonville bar's star asked Leary as they made their way back to their table and started sipping another beer. "This place is becoming overly stuffy and hot. I propose we head somewhere more peaceful." Beth moaned, "Oh no, I've had enough," and started packing to head home. Sarah lifted her hand, her wedding ring silently in the air. "Is that a problem?" Leary asked. Throughout his travels, he had already witnessed numerous times that not all women were put off by a ring, particularly in Jacksonville. Married females who were promiscuous would moan in bed with Leary almost more passionately than single and unmarried ladies, for some reason. Husbands, frustrated, sighed in private as they attempted to figure out why there was a local oddity. However, they later treated their adulterous spouses to a romantic evening and permitted their partners to rejoin the family. The drunken thought, Sarah glanced at the ring and then at Leary. After a minute, she gave Leary a firm nod while grinning wickedly at her own reflections and seemingly coming to an internal conclusion. "No, that won't be a problem for what I'm up to." And she took a firm hold of Leary's arm and hauled him out, hiccuping drunkenly. "Let's not waste this little time we have left. I live in a fantastic home with a fireplace." As Leary opened his mouth to speak, Sarah cut him off. "No, let's not go to my place. Is the husband on a business trip?" "Wife? Naturally no. He's preparing dinner at home. Will he mind?" Leary explained again. He disliked having to flee from furious spouses, but occasionally while he was having sex with their wives in the bedroom, he would run into the losers seated in the adjacent room. Sarah grinned and stretched a charming smile. "Nah, he'll help us." Actually, and this confused him greatly, Larry had only been in a threesome twice in his professional life, not include his time spent attending college in the famed UFS dorm. His orgies made him renowned. While it's true that he never made it to one of the most illustrious threesomes, things didn't work out too well for him and the participants, fortunately. In reality, Sarah's husband was preparing dinner when they arrived at her home. Neat but more tall and muscular than our sex lawyer, who was rougher and taller than us, but yet kind of charming and humorous with a rose-colored apron. The large butcher knife that he was skillfully using to carve meat somewhat ruined the photo. With a loud cry, "Darling, we're here," Sarah leaned a little bit closer to Leary. Final couple glasses were definitely extra. The husband gave his wife a startled look. "Us?" "Well, welcome, my love. It's Leary here. While Linda, Beth, and I were gathering to celebrate the block's impending closure, I ran into him at our bar." The husband's large eyes were fixed on Leary. Tea time might not be happening, he was starting to suspect. "He's a real gentleman." "Gentleman?" Leary questioned the spouse in the apron with patience. "Oh, we have to go with him, you know?" The husband did not lend much intellectual support to the conversation. "It's a honey, that's what you thought." While he was at ease, the husband grabbed a bird to sharpen his knife. Leary stiffened now. Glancing at her husband, Sarah went down the hall, opened the door to the next room, and beckoned Leary with her finger. With a puzzled expression, Sarah opened the door for Leary and licked her lips. "But we might need you later," she murmured. The brightest attorney in Florida, if not the South, in the future realized that they were in their home office and not in the bedroom when Sarah turned on the light. True, he noticed an opulent couch nearly right away. The family's bedroom at home is, after all, Polly. Thinking, Leary was already figuring out how to settle into the couch as comfortably as possible. However, Sarah approached the table, bent down to open the bottom drawer, and began to fumble and mumble something within. Her lovely ass tugged up her skirt as she did, sexy stockings highlighting her toned legs. Indeed, her preference for a very little thong was evident. Leary turned to stare at the beauty that had opened up, while Sarah turned to Leary after finding what she was seeking for. "There," Sarah triumphantly waved something, making Leary turn away from mentally disrobing her. He glanced at the stack of papers Sarah was shaking, finding it difficult to take his eyes off the stunning bust. "What's this? Syncopated narrative. You need insurance, just like any good lawyer. And you are a good lawyer, aren't you?" A whole range of incidents occur in courtrooms. Gun battles, mercenaries from the Mexican drug gang attacking, stoned police officers and enraged cuckolds pursuing you. It's risky and uncertain living in the courtroom, but I will heroically rescue you for a pitiful $10,000. Go ahead and step up. Move quickly. Purchase insurance now before the cost increases. Sarah started to firmly press her gorgeously huge breasts against his. As we all know, dear reader, big breasts were just another Jacksonville fetish. In this community, women with big, attractive breasts were strangely well liked and pardoned for them, whereas girls with pimples in their bras were ready to be put to death. Ladies of Jacksonville complained, not knowing why this was the case, but in the end they groaned and scheduled a consultation with a plastic surgeon. Sighing, husbands paid those bills as well. But look, let's talk about this later. The attractive but slightly shocked lawyer attempted to give Sarah a hug. Darling, CED Sarah said, you have a wonderful opportunity right now to take control of something extremely important, your health insurance. And soon, you might require it, and all for a pitiful $10,000. That's not why I came here. That's exactly what I'm here for. Leary cast a leisurely glance toward Jacksonville's top insurance salesman. Not for this quarter, though. However, Sarah anticipated that bothersome detail will be fixed in the following 10 minutes. Well, Abram, I suppose I'm going to leave. There's an issue with us. Abram entered the office through the open door, carrying an apron and a knife. Both Abram's face and the apron had bloodstains on them. The desire to assist his wife in any way he could. Frantically, Leary gulped, looked around, and picked up a statue off the table. It's composed of papier-mâché, remarked the most skilled insurance salesman's spouse, fumbling and checking the knife's edge. Could you imagine, Abram? He doesn't know how happy he is. Sarah quickly whispered to her husband. It's obvious that this sale will make us all happier. Nodding his head, Abram recalled how at first he too had not understood his happiness upon choosing to marry Sarah. Then again, he had second thoughts. It seems like yesterday. Calm night in Jmyr, Ukraine, in a Howe loft. Sarah, holding her underwear and her father's rifle aimed at her head. It won't hurt. Abram practically mimicked his father-in-law's words. And mind you, at this point, you won't have the insurance I offered you. Oh, how it would help you now, Sarah shouted from her husband's back. I won't give it away so easily. Irish blood in Larry boiled. Abram continued to recite nearly word for word his father-in-law's words from that evening. But you'll be locked up. Larry let out a horrified cry. The alligators haven't been fed for a long time, so no one will know. Abram was pleased that he had already adopted this expression. His father-in-law had never mentioned it to him. Leary was terrified as these very alligators were missing from Jmyr. It was a theft. However, he thought his life was worth more than $10,000. So he reluctantly consented. I agree to sign. Sarah was yelling triumphantly over the phone 10 minutes later as Leary was leaving the jerk house. Beth, I beat you again. Fuck it. Leary gave it some thinking and gave up trying to woo married women. Leary's most expensive date to date was this one. How do you interpret this? Tell me in the comments section below, please. Thank you for coming today. In order to make sure your next chef stays faithful, subscribe to our channel. The following story is just the beginning. Stay tuned for more. But I strongly warn avoiding listening to the next story if you're younger than 18.